You are entering 2026 with the same lack of discipline that destroyed your year in 2025, unable to maintain self-control for more than a few days, starting New Year's resolutions with full force and then falling apart by mid-January, making promises to yourself that you repeatedly break, living without the unwavering discipline that separates winners from quitters, and wasting yet another year because you never truly commit to a systematic 30-day transformation that builds permanent self-control. This lack of discipline is systematically destroying 2026 before it even begins, ensuring that you repeat the same failures, destroying your potential by keeping you weak and inconsistent, destroying your confidence by proving again that you cannot trust yourself, destroying your opportunities by making you unreliable, and destroying your future by ensuring that you remain exactly where you are, while disciplined people transform their lives in the next 30 days. Unbreakable discipline is not willpower you're born with, but capacity you build through systematic 30-day protocol. Not about perfection, but about consistent execution, and not mystical trait, but result of specific daily practices, transforming self-control permanently. This audiobook teaches 30-day discipline transformation through the progressive protocol that builds unbreakable self-control. The neuroscience of habit formation, showing how 30 days rewires your brain. The psychology of commitment, revealing why this time frame works. The daily practices building automatic discipline, and the frameworks of systematic execution making self-control permanent when casual effort fails. Stop repeating last year's failures and start the 30-day discipline transformation. Stop making promises you break and start executing the protocol, guaranteeing unbreakable self-control. Commit to 30 days, execute without exception. Build discipline systematically, and transform your self-control, making 2026 your year of unbreakable discipline through commitment starting January 1st. Chapter 1. Days 1 to 3. Commit to 30-day discipline challenge, starting January 1st, 2026. Days 1 through 3 establish the foundational commitment and mindset required for 30-day discipline transformation beginning January 1st, 2026. The commitment importance demonstrates that first 3 days set tone for entire challenge, that initial commitment determines long-term success, that New Year timing provides maximum motivation and social reinforcement, that publicly declaring challenge creates accountability, and that treating this as non-negotiable experiment changes everything. Most people fail discipline challenges through starting without clear commitment, treating it as optional experiment, lacking accountability structures, not preparing environment for success, and missing the momentum of New Year timing. Weak commitment guarantees failure. Total commitment starting January 1st guarantees transformation. Commit fully or waste 2026. The January 1st advantage demonstrates collective energy of millions attempting New Year changes, social media supporting transformation attempts, fresh start effect, providing psychological boost, symbolic new beginning creating motivation, and cultural permission to change and improve. Research on commitment and timing shows that public commitment increases follow-through dramatically, that starting challenges on meaningful dates improves success, that first 3 days predict remaining 27 days, that environmental preparation determines initial success, and that accountability structures prevent early quitting. The Day 1 protocol involves declaring publicly on January 1st that you are committing to 30 days of unbreakable discipline, writing down exactly what discipline means for you specifically, eliminating all temptations and distractions from environment, establishing accountability partner or public tracking, deciding on your daily non-negotiable discipline practices, and creating if-then plans for predictable obstacles. The days 2 and 3 focus means maintaining initial commitment despite waning enthusiasm, executing daily practices without exception, resisting urge to quit when motivation drops, remembering why you started when difficulty appears, tracking execution, proving to yourself you can do this, and celebrating completion of first 3 days. The mindset establishment includes treating 30 days as non-negotiable experiment, accepting that motivation will disappear but commitment remains, knowing that missing 1 day means restarting from day 1. Understanding this is foundation for permanent discipline, and viewing challenge as identity transformation, not temporary project. The preparation requirements involve clearing schedule of unnecessary commitments for 30 days, informing people close to you about your challenge, setting up environment, eliminating obstacles, preparing backup plans for disruptions, establishing clear success criteria, and committing regardless of feelings or circumstances. Weak commitment guarantees failure. Total commitment starting January 1st guarantees transformation. Commit fully or waste 2026. You understand now that first 3 days establish foundation. That commitment must be total, not partial. That January 1st timing provides advantage. That accountability increases success dramatically. And that days 1 through 3 complete when commitment is publicly declared and you have executed 3 consecutive days, proving you can maintain discipline, setting foundation for challenging 27 days ahead. Chapter 2. Days 4 to 6 eliminate distractions and design environment for discipline. Days 4 through 6 focus on systematically eliminating all distractions and designing environment that makes discipline inevitable, not optional. The environment power demonstrates that surroundings determine behavior more than willpower, that making discipline path of least resistance guarantees execution, that removing temptations is more effective than resisting them, that designed environment compensates for motivation loss, and that systematic elimination of distractions prevents relapse. Most people fail discipline through keeping temptations easily accessible, relying on willpower to resist bad environment, never designing space supporting discipline, allowing unnecessary distractions to remain, and underestimating environment's power over behavior. Fighting environment guarantees failure. Designed environment guarantees discipline. Design space or fight losing battle. Research on environment and behavior demonstrates that environment shapes actions more than intentions, that removing cues for bad behavior is more effective than willpower, that friction determines whether behaviors occur, that designed spaces make discipline automatic, and that environmental design beats motivation consistently. The distraction elimination protocol involves identifying every distraction preventing discipline, removing physical temptations completely from space, blocking digital distractions through apps or removing devices, eliminating people or situations triggering undisciplined behavior, creating physical and digital barriers to temptation, and making undisciplined choices require significant effort. The environment designed for discipline includes organizing workspace, eliminating all distractions, preparing meal prep area for disciplined eating, setting up exercise space or equipment visible and accessible, creating phone-free zones in your home, establishing dedicated focus areas, and making disciplined choices the easiest options available. The friction management means adding friction to undisciplined behaviors, making them harder, removing friction from disciplined behaviors, making them easier, placing reminders and cues for discipline everywhere, hiding or removing triggers for weakness, using physical distance as protection from temptation, and creating if-then responses to environmental cues. The digital discipline specifically requires deleting social media apps for 30 days, using website blockers during focus time, putting phone in another room during discipline hours, using grayscale mode to reduce phone appeal, establishing no-phone zones and times, and treating digital distraction as serious threat to transformation. The implementation days 4 through 6 involves spending day 4 identifying and removing all physical distractions, dedicating day 5 to eliminating digital temptations and setting up blockers, and using day 6 to test your environment and add additional protections. Fighting environment guarantees failure. Designed environment guarantees discipline. Design space or fight losing battle. You understand now that environment determines behavior, that willpower alone cannot overcome bad environment, that systematic elimination of distractions is essential, that digital discipline requires aggressive measures, and that days 4 through 6 complete when all major distractions are eliminated and your environment now supports rather than sabotages discipline, making execution inevitable for remaining 24 days. Chapter 3. Days 7 to 9. Install first core discipline habits daily without exception. Days 7 through 9 focus on installing your first core discipline habits and executing them daily, without any exceptions, establishing pattern for remaining 21 days. The habit installation importance demonstrates that first habits create momentum for additional changes, that establishing pattern of daily execution builds confidence, that core habits serve as foundation for comprehensive discipline, that consistency in first habits predicts overall success, and that 7 to 9 day mark is critical for habit formation beginning. Most people fail habit installation through choosing too many habits simultaneously, selecting habits that are too difficult initially, not executing at consistent time daily, allowing exceptions that break momentum, and lacking specific implementation plans for each habit. Sporadic execution builds nothing. Daily execution without exception builds unbreakable discipline. Execute daily or fail completely. Research on habit formation demonstrates that consistency matters more than intensity initially. That specific time and location cues strengthen habits, that starting to big leads to failure. That daily execution for minimum 7 days begins automaticity, and that implementation intentions dramatically increase follow-through. The core habit selection involves identifying 1 to 3 most important discipline habits for your goals, ensuring habits are achievable daily without exception, choosing habits with highest impact on overall discipline, selecting habits that can be executed at specific times, and avoiding habits requiring perfect conditions. The implementation specificity requires deciding exact time you will execute each habit, determining exact location where habit occurs, defining exact actions constituting habit completion, creating if-then plan for when you will be tempted to skip, establishing minimum viable version for difficult days, and committing to never missing regardless of circumstances. The daily execution protocol includes executing first habit at predetermined time without negotiation, completing habit before allowing any optional activities, tracking completion immediately after finishing, celebrating small win of completing habit, maintaining streak without exception, and using completion of first habit as fuel for remaining habits. The exception, elimination, means treating habit as important as breathing, refusing to negotiate with yourself about whether to execute, accepting that missing once breaks transformation, viewing every excuse as threat to entire challenge, maintaining practice even when traveling or busy, and making habit non-negotiable priority. The habit stacking strategy involves attaching new discipline habit to existing automatic behavior, using completion of one habit as cue for next, creating chain of discipline habits, executing sequentially, ensuring each habit triggers thought of next habit, and building momentum through connected practices. Sporadic execution builds nothing. Daily execution without exception builds unbreakable discipline. Execute daily or fail completely. You understand now that consistency beats intensity, that specific implementation plans ensure execution, that exceptions destroy momentum completely, that 7 to 9 day mark begins automaticity, and that days 7 through 9 complete when you have executed core habits for 3 consecutive days, establishing pattern that will continue for remaining 21 days. Chapter 4. Days 10 to 15 build momentum through small wins and consistent execution. Days 10 through 15 focus on building unstoppable momentum through accumulating small daily wins and maintaining absolutely consistent execution. The momentum power demonstrates that consecutive successes create psychological boost, that small wins compound into major confidence, that consistent execution becomes self-reinforcing, that momentum makes continuing easier than stopping, and that accumulated discipline creates identity shift. Most people lose momentum through taking days off, thinking they earned rest, varying execution times, breaking pattern, celebrating too early before habits are solid, getting overconfident and adding too much too soon, and not acknowledging small wins, letting motivation fade. Lost momentum guarantees quitting. Built momentum guarantees completion. Maintain consistency or lose everything. Research on momentum and motivation demonstrates that progress is most powerful motivator, that visible wins increase likelihood of continuing, that consistency matters more than intensity for momentum, that small frequent wins beat occasional big wins, and that tracking progress maintains motivation when initial excitement fades. The small wins strategy involves recognizing completion of each daily practice as significant win, tracking wins visibly where you see them daily, celebrating streak of consecutive days executed, acknowledging difficulty of maintaining consistency, using past wins as evidence you can continue, and viewing each completed day as proof of transformation. The consistency maintenance requires executing habits at same times daily, maintaining routines even on weekends, refusing to modify schedule unnecessarily, treating discipline time as sacred appointments, saying no to social obligations, interfering with habits, and protecting your winning streak above all else. The momentum-building practices include reviewing your tracking daily to see progress, sharing wins with accountability partner, adding difficulty gradually, only after consistency is solid, using completion of morning discipline to fuel entire day, building on success without getting complacent, and maintaining beginner's mind despite feeling confident. The overconfidence danger means days 10 through 15 often trigger false confidence. Feeling good tempts adding too many new habits. Success makes you underestimate difficulty ahead. Momentum can lead to carelessness about execution, and vigilance must increase, not decrease, as you progress. The mid-challenge adjustments involve evaluating what is working and doing more of it, identifying weak points in your system and fixing them, ensuring habits are sustainable for remaining 15 days, preparing for the difficult days 13 through 17, when motivation will disappear completely, and recommitting to the full 30 days, not just what you have done. Lost momentum guarantees quitting. Built momentum guarantees completion. Maintain consistency or lose everything. You understand now that small wins compound into major confidence, that consistency creates self-reinforcing momentum, that overconfidence is danger during this phase, that preparation for difficult days ahead is essential, and that days 10 through 15 complete when momentum feels strong and you are prepared for the most challenging phase of entire transformation. Chapter 5. Days 16 to 20. Push through mid-challenge. Resistance when motivation disappears. Days 16 through 20 represent the most difficult phase where motivation disappears completely. Novelty is gone, and resistance peaks, requiring pure discipline and commitment to continue. The mid-challenge crisis demonstrates that days 16 through 20 are statistically when most people quit. That initial motivation is completely exhausted. That habit's not yet automatic enough to be effortless. That boredom and resistance peak simultaneously. And that this phase separates those who transform from those who quit. Most people fail during mid-challenge through giving up when motivation disappears, expecting discipline to feel easier than it does, taking break thinking they will restart, not having strategies for resistance, and underestimating difficulty of this specific phase. Quitting during resistance guarantees failure. Pushing through guarantees unbreakable discipline. Fight through or lose transformation. Research on behavioral change demonstrates that days 14 through 21 are critical danger zone, that most habit formation failures occur in this window, that pushing through this phase predicts permanent change, that having specific strategies for this period increases success dramatically, and that expecting difficulty makes it more manageable. The resistance manifestation includes strong desire to quit or take break, feeling that discipline is pointless, thoughts that you have done enough already, boredom with daily practices, irritation with restrictions, and romanticizing life before discipline challenge. The push-through strategies involve remembering you committed to 30 days, not 15. Reviewing why you started this challenge, visualizing completing full 30 days, using past wins as evidence you can continue, refusing to negotiate with resistance thoughts, and executing despite feelings, not because of feelings. The execution during resistance means maintaining habits even when they feel pointless, showing up daily regardless of motivation level, treating resistance as temporary phase that will pass, focusing only on today, not remaining days, using community or accountability for support, and refusing to entertain thoughts of quitting. The mental warfare tactics include recognizing resistance thoughts as normal, not reality, viewing desire to quit as test of commitment, using difficulty as proof you are growing, treating each day completed as major victory, knowing days 21 through 30 will be easier, and maintaining perspective that this temporary discomfort creates permanent transformation. The never miss twice rule implementation requires, if you struggle with a practice, execute simplified version, never allowing 2 consecutive missed practices, getting back on track immediately if you slip, treating any miss as serious threat to entire challenge, maintaining at least minimum standard daily, and using difficulty as signal to increase vigilance, not decrease it. Quitting during resistance guarantees failure. Pushing through guarantees unbreakable discipline. Fight through or lose transformation. You understand now that days 16 through 20 are most difficult phase, that motivation will completely disappear, that resistance is temporary, not permanent, that specific strategies help push through, and that days 16 through 20 complete when you survive the hardest part, proving discipline transcends motivation. Chapter 6. Days 21 to 24. Solidify automatic discipline habits becoming effortless days. 21 through 24. Focus on solidifying discipline habits into increasingly automatic patterns that require less conscious effort and willpower. The automaticity development demonstrates that 21 days begins habit automation process, that practices start feeling more natural than forced, that resistance decreases significantly after day 20, that habits begin executing with less conscious thought, and that discipline shifts from willpower dependent to system dependent. Most people waste automaticity opportunity through relaxing vigilance once habits feel easier, assuming transformation is complete prematurely, not reinforcing habits as they become automatic, getting sloppy with execution timing, and taking developing automaticity for granted. Premature relaxation destroys automation. Continued execution solidifies discipline. Maintain vigilance or lose transformation. Research on habit automaticity demonstrates that 21 days is beginning, not end of habit formation. That automaticity continues developing for 60 to 90 days. That maintaining consistency during days 21 through 30 solidifies habits. That context consistency accelerates automation, and that celebrating automaticity while maintaining execution prevents relapse. The automaticity indicators include habits, feeling strange not to do rather than to do, executing without extensive internal debate, practices feeling natural and expected, reduced cognitive load for disciplined decisions, automatic execution without motivation requirement, and identity shift to disciplined person. The solidification practices involve maintaining exact same execution times and contexts, continuing tracking even though habits feel easier, deliberately noticing how much easier execution has become, celebrating the automaticity while staying vigilant, ensuring environmental cues remain consistent, and treating these days as cementing foundation for permanent discipline. The vigilance maintenance requires not getting complacent because habits feel easier, remembering days 16 through 20 and staying cautious, maintaining all systems and accountability, continuing to execute habits with same intention as day 1, treating easier execution as reward, not permission to relax, and knowing that permanent discipline requires permanent execution. The identity integration means noticing yourself becoming disciplined person, collecting evidence of transformed behavior, recognizing that discipline is now part of who you are, viewing habits as expressions of identity, not just actions, allowing disciplined identity to motivate continued execution, and seeing yourself as someone who keeps commitments. The expansion consideration involves evaluating whether to add additional discipline practices, ensuring core habits are truly automatic before expanding, maintaining focus on solidifying current habits, avoiding distraction of new challenges, keeping 30-day commitment as priority, and planning what comes after challenge completion. Premature relaxation destroys automation. Continued execution solidifies discipline. Maintain vigilance or lose transformation. You understand now that 21 days begins automaticity, not completes it, that habits feel easier but require continued execution, that vigilance must remain high despite easier execution, that identity is shifting to disciplined person, and that days 21 through 24 complete when habits execute automatically, but you maintain full commitment to completing remaining 6 days. Chapter 7. Days 25 to 27 scale discipline across all life areas beyond initial habits. Days 25 through 27 focus on strategically scaling discipline principles across all areas of life beyond your initial core habits. The scaling opportunity demonstrates that discipline in one area transfers to other areas naturally, that having proven you can maintain discipline for 25 days creates confidence for expansion, that final days are ideal for demonstrating comprehensive discipline, that systematic expansion prevents random addition of habits, and that scaled discipline creates total life transformation. Most people miss scaling opportunity through staying narrowly focused only on initial habits, not recognizing discipline transferability, keeping discipline compartmentalized in one area, failing to leverage momentum for comprehensive change, and waiting until after challenge to expand when momentum is lost. Narrow discipline creates narrow change. Scaled discipline creates life transformation, expands systematically or limit impact. Research on behavioral transfer demonstrates that self-control in one domain improves control in other domains. That successful discipline creates belief in ability to maintain discipline elsewhere. That systematic expansion beats random habit addition. That maintaining core habits while expanding is more effective than replacing. And that disciplined identity facilitates expansion to new areas. The strategic scaling approach involves identifying which life areas lack discipline currently, selecting one or two additional areas for discipline application, applying same principles that worked for core habits, starting small in new areas, not attempting immediate perfection, and using existing habits as foundation for expansion. The priority discipline areas include financial discipline, if not already core habit, relationship discipline in communication and boundaries, health discipline in nutrition or exercise if not primary focus, time discipline in schedule management, emotional discipline in reactions and responses, and social discipline in saying no to draining obligations. The expansion without overwhelm means maintaining all core habits without exception while adding new practices, keeping new additions small and manageable, not sacrificing core habit consistency for expansion. Viewing expansion as optional enhancement, not requirement, ensuring you complete 30 days of core habits regardless, and treating expansion as demonstration, not obligation. The discipline transferability principle shows confidence from financial discipline transfers to health discipline. Self-control in diet improves self-control in work. Boundary setting in relationships improves boundary setting everywhere. Proving discipline in one area makes discipline in other areas believable. And identity as disciplined person facilitates all discipline. The application consistency requires applying same strategies to new areas that worked initially. Maintaining environmental design principles across life areas, using tracking and accountability for new disciplines, creating specific implementation intentions for expanded habits, and protecting against overextension that threatens core habits. Narrow discipline creates narrow change. Scaled discipline creates life transformation. Expand systematically or limit impact. You understand now that discipline transfers across life areas. That proven discipline in one area creates confidence for expansion. That systematic scaling prevents overwhelm. That maintaining core habits is priority during expansion. And that days 25 through 27 complete when you have successfully applied discipline to additional life areas, demonstrating comprehensive transformation. Chapter 8, days 28 to 29, prepare for long-term maintenance after 30-day challenge ends. Days 28 through 29 focus on preparing comprehensive maintenance plan, ensuring discipline continues indefinitely after 30-day challenge ends on day 30. The maintenance preparation importance demonstrates that most people relapse after challenges end, that having explicit continuation plan prevents regression, that preparing for post-challenge life maintains transformation, that planning what comes next prevents motivation crash, and that permanent discipline requires permanent systems, not temporary challenges. Most people fail post-challenge through treating day 30 as finish line rather than beginning, having no plan for day 31 onward, allowing environmental protections to lapse, stopping tracking and accountability, and viewing challenge as temporary, not identity transformation. Temporary discipline creates temporary results. Permanent maintenance creates permanent transformation. Plan continuation or lose everything. Research on long-term behavioral maintenance demonstrates that planning maintenance before challenge ends dramatically increases sustained change, that continuing some accountability systems prevents relapse, that maintaining environmental design is crucial for permanence, that having specific post-challenge protocol preserves transformation, and that treating challenge as beginning not end shifts mindset. The maintenance planning involves deciding exactly which habits continue after day 30, determining which environmental protections remain permanently, establishing what tracking continues long-term, defining accountability that continues beyond challenge, creating triggers for if discipline starts slipping, and planning how to handle inevitable disruptions. The post-challenge protocol includes maintaining core habits indefinitely without exception, keeping environmental design, supporting discipline, continuing some form of tracking, even if simplified, maintaining accountability check-ins weekly or monthly, planning periodic 30-day discipline resets, and treating discipline as permanent lifestyle, not temporary challenge. The relapse prevention strategies involve identifying predictable triggers for undisciplined behavior, creating if-then plans for high-risk situations, knowing warning signs that discipline is slipping, having restart protocol if you miss multiple days, maintaining connection to accountability systems, and treating any slip as important signal to increase vigilance. The integration with normal life means planning how discipline fits into returning to full schedule, determining which temporary restrictions become permanent, deciding what flexibility is acceptable without destroying discipline, maintaining non-negotiables while allowing some adaptation, and ensuring discipline enhances rather than restricts life quality. The identity maintenance requires continuing to view yourself as a disciplined person, collecting ongoing evidence of maintained discipline, refusing to return to undisciplined identity, treating discipline as core part of who you are, making decisions consistent with disciplined identity, and using past 30 days as proof of capability. Temporary discipline creates temporary results. Permanent maintenance creates permanent transformation. Plan continuation or lose everything. You understand now that maintenance planning must happen before challenge ends, that most transformation is lost without explicit continuation plan, that environmental protections must remain permanently, that accountability systems prevent relapse, and that days 28 through 29 complete when comprehensive maintenance plan is written, ensuring 30-day transformation becomes permanent lifestyle change. Chapter 9, Day 30. Celebrate completion and recommit to permanent unbreakable discipline. Day 30 is celebration of completing 30-day challenge while simultaneously recommitting to permanent continuation of unbreakable discipline. The Day 30 significance demonstrates that completion proves you can maintain discipline for extended period, that 30 consecutive days of execution demonstrates capability, that reaching Day 30 validates all effort and struggle, that completion creates confidence for indefinite continuation, and that this day is both ending and beginning. Most people mishandle Day 30 through viewing it as permission to quit discipline, celebrating by breaking all discipline rules, failing to acknowledge significance of completion, not recognizing transformation achieved, and missing opportunity to recommit to permanent discipline. Celebrating completion without recommitment wastes transformation. Celebrating while recommitting makes discipline permanent. Recommit now or lose everything built. Research on challenge completion demonstrates that properly acknowledging completion reinforces transformation, that celebrating while recommitting maintains momentum, that using completion as foundation for continued discipline increases long-term success, that treating completion as milestone not finish line extends benefits indefinitely, and that reviewing transformation journey strengthens commitment. The celebration protocol involves acknowledging you completed what most people never attempt, recognizing discipline you built over 30 days, reviewing journey from day 1 to day 30, celebrating without destroying discipline built, sharing completion with accountability systems, and taking pride in proven capability. The transformation review includes comparing who you are day 32, who you were day 0, acknowledging specific changes in behavior and mindset, recognizing easier execution of habits compared to beginning, noticing identity shift to disciplined person, collecting evidence of transformation, and documenting lessons learned during challenge. The recommitment ceremony means explicitly stating you will continue discipline indefinitely, treating day 31 as continuation not restart, viewing 30 days as foundation not completion, committing to maintaining all core habits permanently, establishing this as new baseline not temporary achievement, and making discipline permanent part of identity. The lessons integration involves identifying what worked best during 30 days, recognizing what made discipline sustainable, noting strategies for difficult periods, understanding personal patterns around discipline, determining adjustments for permanent maintenance, and using experience to inform ongoing discipline. The gratitude and acknowledgement includes appreciating support systems that helped completion, acknowledging difficulty of what you accomplished, recognizing growth through challenge, thanking yourself for maintaining commitment, celebrating without ego or complacency, and using gratitude as foundation for continuation. Celebrating completion without recommitment wastes transformation. Celebrating while recommitting makes discipline permanent. Recommit now or lose everything built. You understand now that day 30 is both ending and beginning, that celebration must include recommitment, that transformation review strengthens future discipline, that lessons learned inform maintenance, and that day 30 complete, when you have celebrated appropriately, while explicitly recommitting to permanent discipline, making 30-day challenge foundation for lifetime transformation. Chapter 10. Beyond Day 30. Maintain unbreakable discipline. Throughout 2026 and forever. Beyond Day 30 focuses on maintaining unbreakable discipline throughout entire year 2026 and indefinitely into future, making transformation permanent, not temporary. The permanent discipline reality demonstrates that Day 31 is where real commitment begins. That challenge structure provided scaffolding that must now become internal. That permanent discipline requires permanent systems and vigilance. That most transformation is lost in months after challenges end, and that making discipline permanent is what determines whether 30 days mattered. Without continued discipline after Day 30, your old undisciplined patterns return, destroying self-control. Casual effort replaces systematic execution. Environmental protections lapse, allowing temptations back. Accountability systems are abandoned, removing external motivation. Hard-won automaticity deteriorates without maintenance, and you return to exactly who you were before wasting entire 30-day effort. Temporary discipline wastes 30 days. Permanent discipline transforms entire life. Commit permanently or waste transformation. The permanent maintenance non-negotiables include executing core habits daily throughout 2026 without exception, maintaining environmental design, supporting discipline, continuing some form of tracking and review, periodic check-ins with accountability systems, treating discipline as non-negotiable lifestyle, viewing any slip as serious, requiring immediate correction, never allowing more than one day of missed discipline, and maintaining identity as unbreakably disciplined person. The Throughout 2026 protocol involves monthly reviewing discipline execution and making adjustments, quarterly reassessing habits, ensuring they still serve goals, semi-annual 30-day discipline intensification periods, yearly review of transformation from January to December, continuous refinement of systems, and permanent commitment to discipline as way of life. The challenge integration means using 30-day challenge as foundation for permanent discipline, applying lessons learned throughout remaining months, maintaining discipline during holidays and disruptions, treating 2026 as year of sustained transformation, proving discipline is who you are, not what you did temporarily, and making entire year evidence of permanent change. The permanent discipline requirements include never negotiating with yourself about core habits, maintaining non-negotiables regardless of circumstances, protecting discipline time as most important priority, saying no to anything threatening discipline, maintenance, treating self-control as permanent practice, viewing discipline as identity not behavior, and committing to unbreakable discipline throughout life. The Beyond 2026 vision shows using 2026 as foundation for lifetime discipline, recognizing that permanent discipline creates permanent success, understanding that maintaining discipline is easier than building it, knowing that disciplined life is better life, viewing discipline as gift, not restriction, and making unbreakable discipline permanent part of who you are forever. You have learned the 30-day protocol for unbreakable discipline transformation. Days 1 through 3 commit to challenge starting January 1st. Days 4 through 6 eliminate distractions and design environment. Days 7 through 9 install first core habits. Days 10 through 15 build momentum through wins. Days 16 through 20 push through resistance. Days 21 through 24 solidify automatic habits. Days 25 through 27 scale discipline across life. Days 28 through 29 prepare for maintenance. Day 30 celebrate and recommit. Beyond Day 30 maintain unbreakable discipline throughout 2026 and forever. What matters now is starting January 1st, 2026 and executing 30 consecutive days. 5 implementation priorities starting Day 1. Make public commitment to 30 days. Eliminate all distractions from environment. Define your 3 core discipline habits. Establish accountability system. Execute Day 1, proving you will complete all 30. Execute every single day. Push through resistance. Maintain vigilance and complete full 30 days. Stop repeating last year's failures and start 30-day discipline transformation. Stop making promises you break and start executing protocol guaranteeing unbreakable self-control. Commit to 30 days starting January 1st. Execute without exception. Build discipline systematically. and transform your self-control, making 2026 your year of unbreakable discipline through permanent commitment, starting now.